When I first became a therapist, I would listen to married couples and I would, see one at a time and talk to one and hear their story and think, oh my goodness, this person is really married to someone who is unhealthy and toxic. And then sure enough, the other partner would come in individually and tell me their side of the story. And I'd think, okay, what's going on here? Now it sounds like this person's married to someone who's unhealthy and toxic. So reality is both people have a perspective, and their perspective is skewing the way that they were seeing the situation. My name is Monica Maurer. I am a licensed therapist, and I am the director of the Center for Transformation. Our goal is to help you create connection in a lonely and disconnected world. So in marriage, everyone has a perspective, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily right. And that's why good marriages, are practically near extinction, because so often we are living in our own reality and expecting our own reality to be what informs the marriage. It's so damaging and toxic because our perspective, our reality is really based on our set of life circumstances, and not just that, but the way we've interpreted those circumstances. So the way that we think about things based on everything from birth into our adulthood, based on everything we've encountered, we've taken in information through our emotion lens and through our logic lens, and we really think we've figured things out, and we become really strong and arrogant almost, or maybe not almost, in our own opinion, in our own way of seeing things. And there's a sense of a stubbornness that comes with thinking we're right and the other person is wrong, and they just don't see things, and then we become victims in our own mind. The reality is that everyone has a perspective, and that doesn't mean their perspective is right. Your perspective is based on your circumstances, your experiences, how you've interpreted them. So as you are experiencing life in relationship, whether it's in your marriage or in any other relationship, you are viewing it through the lens of your unique perspective, which has some merit, of course. We all have perspective that's good. We want to be able to hear our own perspective, but we don't want to be strong or prideful in our own perspective without having some clarity of thought and ways of interacting with others that challenges our way of thinking. So the first point here is that your perspective may not be right. It's definitely not 100% right. I'll oftentimes say in marriage therapy something like, well, you're definitely not right and you're definitely not wrong. You both have some things that are accurate and some things that aren't. And even as a marriage therapist, I'm seeing things through my own lens of life experiences, and the hope is that there would be some objectivity, but reality is none of us can be completely objective because we all have a set of circumstances and life experiences that we're taking into account as we perceive situations and circumstances in our lives and interactions. So if you can begin to hold space with the idea that you're not 100% right, that your perspective cannot possibly be 100% right, that will help your marriage and any other relationship be better, because you're going to be coming from a more humble approach. But that leads me to the second point, and that is the idea of reciprocity and mutuality. Marriage isn't about, and no relationship is about, one person becoming less so the other can become more, taking one person's perspective over another. It's really about me entering into your perspective, understanding it, taking perspective, and not losing my own, but coming to the table with my own way of thinking about things and bringing that together. And that's the beauty of relationship, is that we're bringing our differences together and talking about them, not in arrogant, prideful, argumentative ways, but being assertive about what we really think and what we feel and how we perceive the world, in order to bring a beautiful diversity to our relationships, a diversity of thought, a diversity of emotional expression. That is the beauty of being human, that we're all different, that we have a variety of ways of seeing things. And that's what brings us into a more healthy and vibrant way of living relationally. So if we are going to create connection in a lonely and disconnected world, it's not because everybody has to think the way that we do, or that we have to just bow down and be subservient to the way others think. It's because we come to the table with our own unique perspective, humbly, yet with confidence, clearly speaking those things, and coming into a place of desiring to find a mutuality or a reciprocity in our connections that brings beauty and life to our life and to the others. A beautiful relationship is one in which I don't lose myself. I bring myself, but I do that in not a selfish, self-absorbed way, but in a way where I want to be a benefit and a blessing to you and to your life, because I love you, because I care about you, and I want you to benefit as well. In fact, equally to how I want to benefit myself, not totally giving up myself and not expecting you to do that either, but truly coming in mutuality and respect and honor for both of us as humans, and knowing that we're both worthy of love and belonging. And so the last point that this leads us to, in order to really do some work on helping your marriage or your relationship become one that is not extinct from goodness, right? That there is benefit and health and positive experiences that are coming to both you and your partner, and then everyone who's observing your relationship. And that is that we are looking into the concept of coming into synchrony. Synchrony is a big word for marriage and any dyadic relationship or relationships with groups. But we start with the two-person relationship in order to see, can this relationship get into synchrony? Or another way to say it is mutual mind, which sounds a little bit like mind control, but it's not. Interpersonal neurobiology, which is some groundbreaking work in the last couple of decades, talks about how we all have energy systems. Our bodies, our brains, the way that our bodies function are actually little energy systems. And when we come into connection with another human, our bodies want to form a united energy system. We want to be in unity. But oftentimes that can't happen because of negative emotion that's coming to the table, or control or manipulation. And that prevents us from coming into a state of synchrony or mutual mind. But really, when you think about mutuality, reciprocity, has so much to do with an ability to come into a place of agreement. I hear people saying this statement quite often: oh, let's just we'll just agree to disagree then. If we don't agree, we'll just agree to disagree. And I say, no, that is not the way we come into a mutual mind state with another. The way we come into a mutual mind state with another is by really hashing things out, bringing my perspective and your perspective together into a place of trying to understand one another, taking perspective, humbly approaching it from my perspective, and then being willing to change my perspective in order to understand you. When we're looking to have a bond, a healthy, strong connection with another person, we have to come into a mutual mind or synchrony on the issues at hand, the situations at hand. It's funny to see couples when, one's rooting for one sports team and the other's rooting for the other. And, it's like house divided, and we kind of laugh, but, we're not just talking about sports teams, are we? We're talking about major issues in regard to how to raise children, or how to think about political things or spiritual things, or how to treat one another, or maybe as simple as what to cook for breakfast, or, how to exercise, or just random stuff like that. We just come into places of disagreement that are so unhealthy and difficult. So these are some things to really think about in regard to coming into a place of having a good, healthy bond with another person. And I look forward to the next episode.